So continue with factoring expressions. Like I said, factoring kind of is changing the problem back to a multiplication expression. And again, some of the concepts we're doing is how you see division. So what they want us to do is they want us to factor 15x squared minus this 3x to the fourth. Well, the first things we can do in factoring is identify what's called the greatest common factor. Now, what I can do is draw a box, if you will, and I can put the 15x squared and the negative 3x to the fourth in the box. So I have these two terms. And what I'm trying to do is find the greatest common factor of these two terms. So a 15 and this negative 3, they both have a 3 in common. So what I'm going to do is pull a 3 out. Notice I'm going to bring it out a little bit further because I'm also going to be looking at these x's. This has two x's and this has four x's. So the number of x's they have in common would be two x's. So what's going to be coming out is a 3x squared. So this becomes one of the factors. Now, instead of using division, I kind of just ask myself, what times 3x squared gives me 15x squared? Looks like the only factor I'm missing is the 5. 5 times 3 is 15, and the x squared is already present. So 3x squared times 5 does give me 15x squared. Then I move over here. What times 3x squared gives me this negative 3x to the fourth? Looks like I'm going to need a negative, and since there's four x's here, and there's only two out here, I need two more x's. So it looks like I need a negative x squared up here. So a negative 3x squared. Now I have two more x's, so it's going to be negative 3x to the fourth. So that looks like those are my two factors. So the 3x squared becomes a factor, and then we use parentheses to show the other factor, 5 and a negative x squared, or we just simply write that as minus x squared. So 3x squared times then 5 minus x squared. So notice how, again, we're using division, but we can also see it as multiplication. So you could write this as 15x squared divided by 3x squared minus negative 3x 4. I'm sorry. Try that again. So then we have minus this 3x to the fourth over, and we're dividing by 3x squared again. So notice how 15 divided by 3 is going to give me 5, and the x squared is canceled all the way out. Notice how here the 3's divide out, and notice how there's two x's down here, four x's up here. Remember, you can't subtract exponents. 4 minus 2 gives you 2, so 2 x's left over. Or you can cancel out 2, and this is going to leave me 2 x's up here. So you can kind of see this 5 minus x squared come out to play. So notice how the 3x squared is one factor, and the 5 minus x squared is the other factor. So this, for me, is kind of messy. I like to kind of think in terms of multiplication as opposed to division. So again, that's kind of how division works for me is I really think division backwards and use multiplication.